Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In today's story, OP found out his wife cheated on him after he caught his wife trying to sneak her affair partner into their house. He then confronted the affair partner and things escalated quickly. Little does the wife know that he has been recording and writing down everything she has been doing with her affair partner to set himself up for nice revenge when they go to court. Let's get into the story. She cheated. I'm figuring it out, and it hurts. Hello everyone. I, 34 male, found my wife, 33 female, in our bed with another man. A little background. For the sake of my sanity, I will refer to my wife as Ellie. My best friend's name is Omar, not real names. Ellie and I met in college and hit it off right away. When we started dating, I was not really assertive. You could accurately say that it was her showing interest and desire in me that made me really begin to value myself and work past a ton of insecurities I used to deal with. I was just a hardworking, nerdy, smart dude, but had never had any real luck with women. To me, it was almost incredible that someone as smart and beautiful as her would show as much interest in me as I showed in her. We both have always been driven, which led us separately building small businesses of our own by the time we graduated college. We moved in together after graduation and a year later, married. We had, what I considered, a very strong marriage. We had weathered family tragedies, professional challenges, small and large disagreements, and always managed to work through everything, and I felt it always made us stronger. Ellie has always had a huge social circle that included a fair number of men, but I never thought too much about it, as she never did anything that raised flags, since all social outings seemed to always be as a large mixed group, and I came to trust her closest friends. As our 10-year anniversary was coming up, I decided to bring up the topic of starting a family. Early on in the relationship, we had together decided to compromise on the size of our family. I wanted kids, she wanted none or at most one. So we agreed on having one. Now, 10 years into our marriage, secure economically, and thinking how healthy I thought our relationship was, I brought the topic up. I can't help but think me doing this may have started this whole chain of events. A little over 3 months ago, she tells me she is going out with her friends to have some fun. She basically told me she needed to unwind, as she was getting stressed about me asking about having kids again. That night, she comes back at 4 a.m. Starting with that day, our bedroom goes completely dead. In our relationship, Ellie has always initiated as much as me. In fact, on average, I would say more often than me, and for rare periods when we were dealing with traveling, I can't think of us ever going more than 5 days without some form of intimacy. She starts going out more, guarding her phone, avoiding me. All this, stuff I had never seen from her before. After about 3 to 4 weeks of this, I talk to Omar, my best friend, and he points me to Reddit, and I start reading. Eventually, I decide I need to do something about this, as it's beginning to put me in a bad mood. I don't just want to trust her. I like to trust my wife. I need to trust her. Well, needless to say, I get my hands on her phone and check her calls and texts, feeling like a complete monster violating her privacy. Turns out that one of the people new to our social circle is an old high school friend from before we were together. The more I dug, the more I found. I think the fact I'd always trusted her completely made her complacent about hiding the affair better. I found out that during that party a month before he had attended, and they spent all night catching up and ended up kissing, not even really hiding it from her whole group of friends and then conveniently going to the bathroom at the same time. Up to this point, all I had felt has been this giant pit of anxiety in my stomach, a part of me trying to hold on to the image of the woman I thought I had married, a kind of self-delusion. But the anger and sadness start getting overwhelming, made worse by the fact that she seems oblivious to my sudden indifference. She didn't notice. I had stopped making romantic gestures. I felt like I was breaking inside. Finally, a month ago, I decided to catch them in the act, and I tell Ellie I'm going to visit my cousin for the weekend. He lives 3 hours away, but instead I go stay with Omar, who has been helping me record and copy everything. I waited, and sure enough, she brought him to our house to our bed. I snuck in the house and made my way to our room, and the sounds left no doubts. They were so into it. They didn't notice me standing there at the door recording them with my phone. I literally felt something in me break, like something in my soul snapped so hard I could hear it. My veins went ice cold and something like a 10-ton anvil had been dropped on my chest. I couldn't breathe. I went numb. The next part one can only tell you what Omar says happened because I only remember parts of the next few minutes. According to Omar, who I had brought as a witness, apparently I walked up to them, pulled that guy off of the bed, and Omar pulled me off of him. I remember Omar holding me down on the ground. After that, there was the normal hysterics of being caught. I went no contact for 5 weeks and began working with a lawyer preparing for the worst. Omar served as her contact point during that time since I simply didn't want to talk to her. I only contacted my family and told them that we were having problems. After the 5 weeks of no contact, we met and talked. She was remorseful, told me it wasn't my fault, that it was all her doing, her responsibility and her decisions. We decided to go to marriage counseling and at least explore if there is anything salvageable. Sitting here, I can't believe that even after that, I still love her. I'm disgusted with myself that I have thought about her well-being, about her happiness. I especially hate that now I have to question our entire relationship. Was it just now that she got brazen about cheating, or has it happened before and I didn't bother looking far enough, or was too stupidly trusting to see it at all? It's now been almost a month since deciding to try marriage counseling, and my questions to those who have already gone through this are the following. 1. Is it possible to reconcile without feeling that you lose some self-respect? 2. How long does the anger to sadness to numbness, rinse and repeat cycle last? I'm getting exhausted at the constant emotional roller coaster. 3. I find myself really loathing the whole idea of having to essentially be on the constant lookout. Is that a sign of me wanting out, or just me being exhausted because I honestly can't tell? I'll take any advice, honestly. I love her. I've been head over heels for her since we met back in college. I want to work it out. Is it actually possible? And if it is, will it ever resemble what it used to be even remotely? TLDR, wife cheated, trying to reconcile but have a lot of fears and questions. After reading everyone's replies and the messages, I took the weekend to let it all sink in and harden my resolve. I came to the conclusion that I was never going to be able to live with myself if I stayed with her. Staying and working on it would mean having to sacrifice a significant portion of my self-respect. I also realized that I want no part of a relationship that would require me to be in a state of constant vigilance for signs of betrayal. So I decided to push the proverbial red button and nuke it all. Here's how it all went down. Monday, I woke up early to an unexpected surprise. When I opened my eyes, my Johnson was greeting me at full attention. Guys, I can't stress how surprising that was to me, considering that since finding out about Ellie's affair, I had not had morning wood. It was like my body was saying, hell yeah, we are going to get this done today and be done. Ready for something new? I actually laughed so hard at seeing it that Omar and his wife came to check in on me thinking I was having some sort of mental breakdown. I got up, got ready, and called Ellie's dad and told him we needed to talk. I met with him about an hour before our marriage counseling. The whole drive there I was surprised at how calm I was about it. I could still feel an ocean of emotion somewhere deep down, but on the surface, I was not feeling anything. We met up at a little mom and pop breakfast place near his house and we sat down. Ellie's dad is a good man, light-hearted and funny, but more importantly, he is level-headed. I thanked him for how he and his wife had treated me all these years and told him I was sorry to have this talk with him. He listened patiently, but as I started telling him why I was going to be divorcing his daughter, he lowered his head. I could tell he was ashamed and angry, not at me, but at Ellie. He told me he understood, and I asked him to not tell Ellie as I was going to be telling her within the hour. He agreed. We shook hands, and then he told me to take care. I hated having to shatter his image of her. I debated with myself if I should have asked him to care for her, but I shouted down that instinct because he is her dad. Of course he will care for her, but also it is no longer my business to care for her. She is a big girl. Next, I went to our scheduled marriage and counseling session. I had been rehearsing all day Sunday what I would say to her and how I would say it. I wanted to essentially emotion-prove my actions and words for the next few hours. I sat there in the parking lot for 10 minutes and just prayed. I hadn't felt like I wanted to or could since all this started. When we sat down for marriage counseling, Ellie was wearing one of the dresses I loved her in, and for a split second, I forgot everything. But then the visceral disgust and anger I felt pushed the attraction completely out. I let the counselor get things going like our previous sessions, and after about 10 minutes of her and Ellie talking, I interrupted. This is how it went. Excuse me, I have a few things I need to say to Ellie, and that I wanted to be able to say here with a neutral third party. If at any point I am interrupted, I will simply leave, and that's that. Ellie, I have come to realize I do not need to know if this was the only time you cheated. It doesn't matter. I do not need to know how long it went for. It doesn't matter. I do not need to know how many times you cheated. It doesn't matter. I do not need to know why. Even if there was a good reason, a perfectly why, it also would not matter. The only thing that matters is that you did. I know now the only facts that matter. You were never going to have children with me. At this, Ellie opens her mouth to interject, and I started walking to the door, so she immediately backed off. You were going to string me along for however it would take. You were going to cheat on me sooner or later. This is when the waterworks started to open up for her. You do not respect me or love me. The counselor begins to look like she is about to interject, and I respond by taking another step toward the door, which ends that. My lawyer is filing for divorce as we sit here, and as of about an hour ago, your father knows the entire truth of what has been going on. Do not contact me. From here on out, the only person we will communicate through are lawyers. These are the last words we will ever exchange. Goodbye. I walked the last few steps to the door and walked out. As soon as I closed the door, I heard a wail, the likes of which would haunt people's dreams. She scrambled out of the office pursuing me and tried to stop me, telling me how sorry she is and how we can start a family and to give her a second chance, and she cried hysterically throughout. I pushed past her and got in my car and left. At this point, that ocean of emotions that had been quietly hiding underneath it all started roiling, and I was barely holding it in. I drove to my parents' house and sent the text message I had planned to Ellie's best friend's husband. When I got home, my old man was at the store, but Mom could tell I wasn't well. She has always been able to read me like a book. I told her I needed to tell her, and that's something important, and we sat down and waited. At this point, I have to thank Responsible Mode 114 for messaging me, which added, and he totally calmed me down. About 30 minutes later, Dad arrived. I poured it all out. The more I talked, the more I felt that ocean of emotions emptying and all that pain pouring out of me. When I finished talking to my dad, he just held me as I cried into his shirt for a solid 20 minutes. When it all ended, I felt spent and oddly at peace. I have arranged for Omar to receive a Harley he has been eyeing for a while. He has been more than a friend to me, and I'm going to try my best to be as good a friend to him as he has been to me. I can't wait to see his face. I think this is the last time I will post, as it should be the end of this story. I just want to thank you all. Would have never thought that I would find sound and sane advice from strangers on the internet. I know that it will be a long road ahead, that I will still need individual counseling to deal with the aftershocks of this debacle and rebuild my ability to trust. I have to hope that little by little, all this pain and sadness and anger will go away. Like Roto-Rooter for my soul, if I do the work. Now begins the rest of my life, and I can honestly say I am looking forward to it. Wow, OP, the way you handled the situation was outstanding. Kudos to you. You dropped the bomb right in the middle of your counseling session with her, which is even more epic. The good thing is that now the worst days are behind you, and from here on out, it will get better. As you mentioned, your wife simply wanted her cake, and to eat it too, which explains why she came crying and chasing after you like a lost puppy after you told her your intentions. Best of luck to you in the future, OP. Let's see what the comments had to say about this situation. ArmorTeague227 said, "My dude, you handled yourself like a boss and with class and self-control, and not only confronting her at marriage counseling, but taking the initiative and holding her accountable not only to her cheating, but that she no longer would hostage your heart and soul. And in the very place where many in your position as a man the narrative would spin in her favor, you took control not only from your ex but the therapist as well. This was your true therapy. You took the steps in reclaiming your life back. I couldn't be more proud, my man. I know it hurts right now because taking down that wall when crumbling is draining, but you will survive this. You will rebuild to be something new, stronger, more powerful, and I guarantee you this is the moment where your life begins again. Congrats to you, man. It might